Filthy, 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 filthy. Boy, well, I got caught in the rain yesterday. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now. I gotta clean that up later. Let's see, so I wanted to talk quickly about 5 things that you can do if you are young, right? When I say young, maybe like you're between the ages of like maybe 13 to 18, or more or less you're kind of on the older age. You're maybe in high school, you're getting ready to get out of high school, and you really want your first bike, and you're trying to really figure out, dang, what can I do to convince my parents that I want an older motorcycle, that I should be able to ride? What can I do? What can I do? How can I convince them? So I'm gonna give you 5 tips that help me and that can definitely help you. And it's all about the peace of mind, right? Convincing your parents means that you gotta really give them a peace of mind to know that you understand what you're talking about and you understand what you're getting into. So number one, I would definitely research your state laws, your state DOT laws concerning motorcycle safety. Research those things, be knowledgeable about those things, those regulations that your state requires. The reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of times we don't think about regulations that our state may have. Research things like lane splitting, lane filtering, whether these things are legal or not, because these are some of the legitimate concerns that any parent is going to have, especially when they see you watching videos on YouTube like S1K Rafa and all these people that make amazing videos. When they see stuff like that, or they see you watching stuff like that, they're automatically thinking that your influence is going to have you replicating what they're doing on the street. And that's a no-no. They don't want that at all. So be very, very knowledgeable and make them aware that you're knowledgeable of those regulations for your state. And that will kind of show them that you are a little bit serious about wanting to know what the rules are before you even get started. Number 2, I would say get with your local MSF course, or some states they have ACE. Research both of those. See which ones are offered close in your area. I know for me, when I first did mine, my MSF course to get my license, they were literally hosting it and running the program out of a local community college that was literally down the street from me. And that's how I found it out, and that's where I took mine. So get on the website. I've showed you before. Get on MSF, Google it, Google ACE, Google what's around in your area, because there are going to be several places I can guarantee you that offer this course. You can also check out your local dealerships, motorcycle dealerships. They also usually they will have information on MSF or ACE. Sometimes those dealerships often host ride like free rides, demo rides, and they sometimes offer those what's going on? And sometimes they offer those courses as well. For example, my local dealership that I get my motorcycles from, Wood Cycle Country, they often have like Can-Am or Kawasaki and stuff like that. Well, they'll host the demo ride days, and also host the MSF so you can get your license. That's number 2, right? So number 3, I would say create a total cost, a total ownership cost. What do I mean by that? You want to start researching prices of motorcycles, insurance cost, equipment cost, and yeah, I think that's probably about it. Those are probably like the biggest things right there. I would say definitely, and maintenance cost. So check out those, right? Those are super important, super important, because the cost of the bike is just one thing. It's only one variable in the whole situation, the cost of the bike. Usually we tend to only think about the cost of the bike. Insurance is usually secondary. Nobody ever thinks about insurance when they're looking at the price of a bike or the type of bike they want. Insurance is usually that thing that hits you in the gut right after you've just negotiated all the out the door price for whatever bike you're trying to get. Usually that's the first step, and then you go and look at insurance and you're just like, oh my God, it costs that much. Are you serious? That's insane. Usually for most young riders, your insurance payment is probably going to be more than your bike payment. So keep that in mind. Hopefully your parents have good insurance and they can add you, but it's going to be expensive, especially if you've never ridden before and you're under the age of 25. That's that. Equipment and maintenance cost. I would say your equipment is going to be everything that you are going to ride with. Your safety gear, down from the helmet, all right? Starting at your helmet, starting at your jacket or your what you're gonna be wearing as your top, your gloves, pants, riding pants, and boots. Now, if you're a new rider or you're trying to be a new rider, last thing you want to make sure that you get all of this stuff together in advance. Now, I'm not saying the list that you're gonna get is going to be the end all be all, like that's what you're gonna get, especially if it's gonna be years maybe or a year or two before you actually can take the MSF course and get your license and then own a bike. But this is going to help you convince them that you know exactly what you're looking for. You know what kind of safety rating your helmet needs to be for your state. And you're also being extremely aware of cost versus function. Sometimes going the cheapest is not the best. So you want to make sure that something is DOT approved or whatever is approved in your state. You want to go for something that's gonna save your life, right? So a great helmet. That doesn't mean you need to run out and go buy a Pista, right? You don't need that. That's a little overkill for the street, but a good helmet, a good riding jacket. Now, I would suggest, and I would seriously suggest you do not put armored hoodies on your list, right? It's not the safest option that's out there. I would seriously look for mesh or a leather jacket. They have different ones for whatever kind of riding you're going to be doing. If you're doing street riding or if you're doing more like casual, cruiser riding, depending on, whatever you're trying to get into. Try to avoid the armor hoodies, right? It's just not the safest. It looks like a squid. Your parents don't want to see that. Just stay away from armor hoodies from the rip, right? If that's something you want to get later on, that's fine. But don't put that as your must-have. Riding jeans, I would suggest, once again, to stay away from your MBT riding jeans and stuff like that. I would be a little more safe and say, give me 1 second. I'd be a little more safe and say that you should look more at either leather pants or some type of textile pant, preferably a leather pant, just so you can be on the safe side. Again, you're showing them that you're looking for the most optimal riding gear that's going to save your skin and save your life. Boots. There's plenty of different boots out there. I would just seriously stay away from just riding in your normal shoes. As a new rider, just get some boots, right? They got plenty of boot selections, plenty of brands. Just pick one that's not super expensive. I don't think you need to go out and spend $500 on boots. You don't really need that. You can find something budget. I found something budget that was on sale for $100. Really good riding boots. They're all uncomfortable for the most part. So you're not going to be winning any style points as far as that goes. And that's going to be it for that one. The last one is going to be, offer your parents to start off on something smaller, something that's a smaller displacement. Now I get it. It might not be as fun. It might not be ideal, but let's just say you are somebody who's never ridden on two wheels besides a bicycle. I would highly suggest going to get yourself something like an X Pro, a 14 or 15, something that's your size, depending on how tall you are, how short you are, something that's your size, that it may not necessarily be a race sport bike inspired small displacement bike. Obviously, they do have pocket bikes. Like I said, you can get like a Venom or something of that nature that do look like pocket bikes, sport pocket bikes, but offer to find something that's very, very small displacement, something that's going to help you. Some type of 4-stroke, something that has gears, at least 4 gears or something like that, to help you learn how to clutch and work a clutch, because that's really all you're going to really need. Working a clutch is going to really help you before you get to an MSF course, if you have that option. Like I said, get yourself like a dirt bike. Even if you got a dirt bike and you live in an area where you can go off-road and things like that, that would be perfect. If you don't and you just live in a neighborhood, you know, I would literally say, if you have the money, save up the money, and like $3,000, $2,500 to $3,000, and go get yourself a Grom. Go get yourself a Honda Grom if you can. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you can go get an X Pro, like an X14, 15. And it's probably going to be like $1,000, $1,100, up to like $1,500. But if you save up at least $3,000, at the very least, you can go get yourself a Honda Grom, and you can just teach yourself how to clutch, how to ride that thing up and down the neighborhood. Plenty of kids do it. Just don't take it out on the main road. The Honda Grom is a street legal bike, so keep that in mind, that if you're just practicing in the neighborhood, once you go take that MSF course and you get your license, you can still ride that Grom on the public road at that point. It's a great beginner bike. It's a great bike. Like I said, I've run into plenty of people in this area that ride Honda Groms, and usually the consensus is it's their first bike. And they're just learning how to clutch. They're just learning the basics. It's a really good bike. I need one just so I can practice how to do wheelies and stuff like that. But ultimately, if you don't want to waste money on buying dirt bikes and things like that, I would seriously just save up and get one. I think Kawasaki has an equivalent of the Honda Grom. That's all you really need. You can teach yourself and kind of be an expert on the basics. You just bought one and taught yourself how to ride through the neighborhoods. This is going to really show that you have show your parents that you have initiative. You're taking initiative, and that you're willing to sacrifice your want and need of a full-blown sport bike, or even a full-blown cruiser for that matter, to start riding. A lot of times they see that we get fixated on things, and you just want to show them that you can compromise, because at the end of the day, you have to realize that even if you get your license, even if you get all this stuff, right, the last point of contention is going to be you trying to convince them to actually get the bike that you want, right? And if you are to that point where you do got your license, right, and you're trying to convince them on what bike to get, let's say you want a sport bike, I would seriously suggest avoiding anything that is 600 cc's or more. It's going to be very difficult to convince them. It's literally say start off with something like a 300, a 450 at the most. I think that is going to help build your confidence on the road, and then it's also not going to make your parents feel like they literally just bought you a rocket, you know what I mean, a death machine, because those bikes aren't very forgiving. Now, it depends now if you're going to be buying something used and older, that's much different. But if you're buying something newer, usually the electronics like a CF Moto, you know, Kawasaki, Honda, for that matter. Hondas are amazing. If you do get something that is like 600 or something like that, get like a 650, something that has like from Honda that has like the E-clutch. That's going to make things a little easier for you, and it's going to be a great beginner bike. I think Yami Noob has some really cool videos on his 650 from Honda. Things are pretty cool. They're really cool. But again, these are things that you can do to help your parents way ahead of time, to show them that this is not just a fad. This is not just something that is a fly-by-night. This is something that you're actually very interested in, and that you're not necessarily going to change your mind about riding, but you want to convince them that you're doing the things to show them that you want to be as safe as possible when you are riding. So make sure you take those tips to heart. Seriously consider every single one of those things. Again, aside from the safety aspect, the biggest concern for your parents is going to be the total cost. So like I said, things that we don't necessarily think about, we always just tend to think about the bike and nothing else, right? So get that plan together, and see where it lands. I'm telling you, your chances of success in convincing your parents is going to be much higher if you cover all those bases. Catch you in the next one. Peace.